SNESdrunk. 12 years into this channel project thing, and there's still licensed games on the Super Nintendo that I haven't fully covered yet, like Dragon, the Bruce Lee story, which was originally released in Europe for the Sega Mega Drive in late 1994, before getting ports to the Atari Jaguar, Sega Master System, Game Gear, and the Super Nintendo, where it was released in July 1995 by Virgin Interactive, who of course you know from all the Disney games they made around this time, like Aladdin, Pinocchio, and Lion King. Now, unlike other movie-licensed games like Dennis the Menace or Cool World or any of that other Ocean Software dreck, Dragon the Bruce Lee story actually lends itself pretty well to a video game format, and it follows the movie surprisingly closely. And by the way, the movie itself is actually a fun, rewatchable action flick. It's kind of a mythological retelling of Bruce Lee's life story, and it includes all kinds of hilariously goofy scenes, like when these kitchen workers absolutely lose their minds out of nowhere and attack Bruce Lee in a homicidal rage. One way this game stands out is with all the different game modes. There's the typical one-player story mode and one-player match, but there's also a two-player story mode. Whoa, I'm seeing double, 4 Bruce Lees! There's even a 3-player fighting mode if you have the SNES multi-tap, where all 3 players just beat the crap out of each other at the same time, which is kind of fun. But what isn't always going to be fun is how the fighting works. Street Fighter 2, this is not. In fact, this isn't even Clay Fighter in terms of depth. Y and B are light kick and punch, X and A are heavy kick and punch, and the second meter in the upper left there is your power meter that fills up the more damage you deal, and it reduces the more damage that you take. You can activate this meter using the L and R buttons, and it puts Bruce into either a fighter mode or a nunchaku mode. Fighter mode makes you a bit faster and a bit more powerful, but the controls still boil down to simple button mashing. However, once you reach the nunchaku mode, it unlocks a few extra moves, like whipping people around by their necks. The problem is, sure, that move looks cool, but you have to be pixel perfect to execute it properly. The hit detection in this game is weird overall, since you can just walk over and walk past your opponent, and it doesn't help that the moveset here is so limited that half the time you'll just be bouncing around like a cartoon character. It kinda reminds me of Shaq Fu, where the jump is just stupidly long, like every character is Bob Beamon and jumps like 30 feet at once. Dragon the Bruce Lee story isn't as bad as Shaq Fu, it's just really dull with a really limited moveset for a fighting game. I mean, there are side-scrolling beat-em-ups that offer more moves than this game, but hey, credit to the manual for doing its best to try and dress this game up by stretching out for 10 pages, going on in detail about the most basic, obvious stuff like how to kick while crouching. The game isn't really that bad though, if I'm gonna try and be objectively fair. It looks nice, and the music is pretty good. The story mode offers 10 different fights that all follow the movie, but the final boss fight is a major slog since you can only do damage to him in nunchaku mode, which means that if you take damage and your meter goes down, you have to slowly work your way back up so you can do damage again. But hey, there's no time limit here, so you can fight this guy all flippin' day if you want. Just bear in mind that despite cool sounding stuff like nunchaku mode, you're gonna feel a lot closer to this guy than Bruce Lee. So yeah, it's pretty obvious that Dragon the Bruce Lee story was made only as a complement to the movie, and once the movie had its run, the game might as well have just completely disintegrated and become lost to the sands of time. It does its job, it represents the movie well, and hey, the movie is pretty entertaining if you're down for some 90s action movie cheese, but the game is just whatever. It's one of those titles where all you can really say is, hey, it's better than Shaq Fu, it's better than Rise of the Robots, and it's better than Pit Fighter, which is kind of like saying, hey, at least I've only got pneumonia instead of full-blown cancer, so it's not really saying all that much. Alright, that is all for now, and I want to thank you for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.